Tom had some technical difficulties, but I think
Hello?
he's good to go now. 9 months.
Can you hear me, Phyllis?
I still can access my email.
She's shaking her head.
I think it started updating at my house, and then
Oh,
it
this.
It was one of those big ones.
and
Yeah.
it lost the internet connection. And then it got here, and it was like, I don't know what I'm doing.
All right, so everybody ready? Good. All right, it is Monday, April 1st, 2024. The time is now 6:30. I will call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro,
Here.
Trustee Hartz,
Here.
Trustee Moreland, Trustee Thomas, Trustee Wolf,
Here.
Trustee Ah,
Here.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Here. All right, would everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? All right, does the board have any conflicts of interest to announce at this time? Seeing none, we will move on to general public input. If any members of the audience would like to address the board, please state your name and address for the record. All right, moving on. Did everybody get a chance to look at the agenda for tonight?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as posted.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Cesaro,
Yes.
Trustee Hartz,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, let's get our update on the tree board meeting that was held prior to this meeting.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Board of Trustees. Yeah, we went over all the, which will also be in my monthly report, all the trees that we've planted in the parks. We planted 29 assorted shade trees throughout Mesa, Gosney, and Eagle Park in the last couple weeks. I did not provide a tree list for you guys in my report, but I can read that off that I gave to the tree board. So the trees that we planted are a bur oak, a cottonwood lance leaf, elm accolade, honey locust, hackberry, oak red shumard, elm frontier, elm ali, a zelkova green vase, a plum crotter, and maple sensation box elder are the trees that we planted. We also went over Arbor Day. We've nailed down a date and time, which is April 25th at 10 a.m. The kindergarten class will be joining us on that day, and we're going to plant 3 trees for them and do the proclamation. And I will be giving a little educational speech to the students, and I believe Jeremy will be doing the commentary. Yeah, he's good at it. We also discussed block party dates, talked about maybe doing some informational stuff at the block parties about trees, amongst some other things. I think we're going to talk about public safety, and maybe Nicole's got some stuff as far as water-wise that we may be presenting to the public on block parties. And I'll let Nicole tell you about some of the other things with the Sonoran Institute that she's got going on, and some of the other town projects that we have, unless you have any questions for me on the tree board.
Thanks, Mark.
We gave the board just a quick update on our WaterWise process, where we're doing a matrix for land use and water usage. And we're almost wrapping up the data collection. They took 5 years worth of data for every property in the town. So it's a lot of data to go through. And then what we're trying to do is determine an average use for a single family, average use for a retail, certain square footage, average use for a restaurant. And then looking at our big hitters, those that use a lot of water, and doing some outreach on ways that we can, even though, we have water and we're doing well with water with our current development that we have going on right now, we still want to encourage our community to conserve water. Now moving into the future and ways to do that. And a lot of that is with what we're finding, and the data is going to show us a little more detail, is the summer months, irrigation. Outside irrigation uses a lot of our water, and so how do we educate the community to maybe plant different types of plants and use different types of irrigation to conserve water moving forward. So that's that process. And then, like Mark said, we like to do a theme for each block party. So we're looking at maybe doing that for a theme, but we also want to do a public meeting when we have all our data together and what we want to present to the community. And then we just updated the tree board on just the current projects that are going on, which the board is familiar with, all our development review projects. So just making sure they knew what was going on in the community.
And then there's some fun posters from the first grade. So we will be letting the first graders know who's going to get a prize, and we'll invite them to your next Board of Trustees meeting. So anyway, be a little fun.
Right. Thank you for the updates. Did everybody get a chance to go over the minutes from March 19th, 2024?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the March 19th regular meeting minutes presented by Town Clerk Dustin Heaton.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Trustee Cesaro,
Yes.
Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to our department reports. Katie, would you like to give the highlights of the town manager report?
You betcha. So the Pine River seniors, I met with them on March 13th, provided them kind of an update of all the projects going on in town. The seniors that spoke were opposed to development due to water concerns. I tried to explain that to them. And then after explaining it to them, I thought, well, maybe it's a good idea maybe to put that in the newsletter to kind of explain our water rights. So I did attach that newsletter item to this packet, and it'll go out with the utility bills. It goes out on our social media pages as well. We talked about school drop-off and pickup traffic. It just seems that they're concerned about the traffic and speed on all, especially Clover Drive for the primary school. And I tried to explain that we have 4 schools and, not 4 officers all on duty those mornings of pickup and drop-off. So anyway, I did identify that with the chief and, said if there was just some maybe alternating spaces to go different streets for some police protection. So anyway, they had complaints about code enforcement. We had another topic, and so I made sure that our staff followed up with the enforcement and also provided an explanation to the person that had the complaint about why it may not be dealt with, why it doesn't necessarily climb to the effect of code enforcement. And then they also had questions about the bazaar, which I hope I clarified. Terry, a gentleman that is typically at those meetings, certainly understood what the town's asking for and what seemed to be certainly doable on their end. So anyway, hopefully we'll stay with them and make sure that they understand our process and that we do now waive fees, and they're certainly eligible to request those. We had a really great first leadership development on March 27th. I just was very impressed with our department directors and our emerging leaders. We have a wastewater operator, Michael Wisner, and Dustin Streetzel is a sergeant. They're joining us, and really glad to see them involved and looking at, at some point, taking on a leadership position in the town operations. The voting center, we certainly received our share of complaints about having a voting center in person. We tried to explain that, and of course, this is nothing new for the town of Bayfield. 4 years ago, we actually did it out on the parking lot because of COVID. And there have been other elections here at Town Hall. So The natural gas line hit was approximately 10:55, March 22nd. And I provided kind of a report, the debrief from Deputy Chief Greg French and Chief Bruce Evans. They said that they did what they were supposed to do as far as code red, but they only had to contact 2 homes. And those 2 homes were actually, they personally went to those homes to contact, to let them know what was going on. I tried to respond to her regarding what we had done. This is also my response to the Board of Trustees as well. You know, if you get too many alerts on your phone, in my experience with other counties, people will start to disengage or disconnect from Code Red. So you want to make sure it's really applicable. A Code Red announcement is going to the applicable residents. And at the time, the chief and deputy chief did not feel that it was applicable to a property that was east of Mustang Crossing. So in the tabletop, even during the tabletop, we determined that we have some gaps that we have to work on. So we're going to keep working on those. And, you know, this second incident in that area, just a good reminder, we'll have to make sure that we get Upper Pine and the school district involved in our next tabletop, and some other gaps that we need to fill in. So we continue to do that, and certainly encourage those to take the ICS training. It's really important for you to understand your role in an emergency as well. So that's what I have for my report, unless you have any questions.
Any questions?
What happened to the time at the Easter egg hunt? Just so I know.
That's the next report.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's what I
Okay. All right, thank
That was
you.
a great segue. Dustin, you're up on your.
That was a good segue.
All right, well, we'll skip right to that, then we'll get right to the meat of the bones on that.
good.
Thank you, Trustee Harts. So, looking back at it, when we go into a new event, DJ and I haven't done a lot of these events, so we're really looking at past things that have been put out there as to what we can do. And the one thing I kept hearing was the chaos about the egg hunt. So one thing, we tried a couple different things this round as far as wristbands go, as far as not letting them onto the fields right away so we could control it. And what kind of happened was we had tried to stagger the times of each age group, and we got a little ahead of ourselves on that last field. It was started and it was put out there that that last field was going to start at 12:30. And when I heard it go, I looked at my watch and it was 12:20 when that field was going. So unfortunately, it does hurt to say this, I hate letting the kids down. I mean, I wouldn't love doing the youth athletics and stuff if that wasn't something we do. So we're very apologetic for that. I was thinking right in real time, what can I do to make it better? I didn't really have a great solution other than maybe give them some of the 5K t-shirts and things like that. So I took some phone numbers out to reach out to kids because, you know, Easter's over. I can't just go down and get them a bunch of Easter stuff. So that's what I wanted to do, wasn't able to do it. And then planning for the future event, I think what we're going to do, instead of dividing that one field into 2 age groups, we're going to do 1 age group per field, and we're going to utilize the multi-purpose field. So I think we're going to put the big kids on that multi-purpose field. We're going to put the little kids on their very own baseball field, the middle-aged kids on their very own. We're going to have them completely segregated, and we're going to start them all at the same time. And we're going to try to use the temporary fencing for that so people aren't going into it until it's time to get ready. I was amazed by the speed of how quickly those fields got cleared. I mean, it was amazing. I don't know if DJ's report, I don't think is in the packet, but I can give some quick feedback on that. We did spread out 5,000 eggs and toys. I mean, we went way above previous years on that, and it went fast. I was just amazed. You see all the color in the field and you just see it disappear. So, yeah, it was a little oversight on our part on that staggered stop, and we take responsibility for it. We hate letting the kids down. That's first and foremost what we hated
I
about
did
it.
get some good feedback from parents. They said, thank you for having more toys than candy, because the kids were already hopped up on so much candy that they
That,
appreciated the toys.
that was another thing we wanted to do. We are the recreation department, so we didn't want to just do candy. We wanted to do active things. We put a bunch of little mini footballs out there, basketballs, things like that, that we wanted to do to promote being outside. And like I was talking with Katie a little bit earlier, it's about 75% of the event was going great. People were smiling, the music was a nice addition, having a good time, and then right at the end, it's very chaotic handling those egg hunts. But we learn, you know, and feedback is tough, but I had a boss once time that says, feedback's a gift. What are you gonna do with it? So we'll debrief, we'll put it down, and we'll get better about it next year. I'm not sold on the bracelets by any means. That was kind of a cluster and chaos.
How
Well-
many people showed up for the 12:30 and that weren't able to participate?
I personally took 3 complaints, and DJ, I think, said he took 2 or 3 as
Okay,
well.
all right, so it wasn't like
Mm.
30 people showed up at 12:30. It
Mm.
sounds like it was a handful. Okay.
It was, and I hate it. I hate seeing little kids.
course.
If that was my kid, I'd be upset as well. I mean, it's perfectly justified, and it's something we just need to be better at with that event. I learned a ton. I'm already putting that to work on 4th of July, because it's going to be even bigger. So I think we need to control that chaos a little bit, and I think splitting the fields is going to be huge to that, instead of dividing the one, because that gets a little chaotic too. I do like the not as much candy thing. We did have some candy, but that was donated by the Boys and Girls Club, so we wanted to get it out there as well.
How many
But-
total kids were down there, do you think? Or families, like just an idea of participation? And how many were in the run?
The run, we had 40 adults, or 40, sorry, for the 5K, and we had, I think, 30 for the 1K. So we had 70 participants roughly for the run. The kids, if I had to guess,
Again,
probably 150, 200 kids, probably.
maybe more. Yeah.
Maybe more.
That was
Yeah,
a lot.
it was- Yeah, it was quite a few. That's why we were glad we had the amount of toys we did, and we hate that somebody got left out. I mean, that was the unfortunate part of the day, but the rest of the day was great. The weather was great. The run was fun. One of our associates actually won the 5K. I couldn't believe he did it in 21 minutes. So that's flying around
That is fast.
Mesa Meadows. So that's that recap, unless you guys have any more questions about it.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Okay, we'll own it, we'll get better, and we'll improve on it. Adult volleyball's underway. It's kind of a weird sports season right now. That's the only sport we really have going. Youth sports is kind of on a quick break until youth soccer starts April 27th. Our registration is looking great for that already. We don't have the flag football, and we already think we're going to beat the fall. Registration numbers on that. Fields are already greening up out there. As soon as this meeting's done tonight, I'm going to flip this into an election center. We're ready to go on that. We're locked and loaded. Election judges will be in early tomorrow. We'll get that going. Jeremy and his crew put the VMS sign out there to help us get more people in here, as well as the 3 times we ran it in the paper, the legal notice, the notice on our front door, and the newsletter, other various things to let people know it is an in-person election. And that's dictated by Colorado statute. If you can't do mail ballots, you don't have the equipment, then you switch to a paper ballot ID required in-person election. And many municipalities are doing it in Colorado right now because of the county clerks are in a bind with their 3 primaries and their presidential election coming. Campaign finance reports were due. We all touched base on that. And yeah, just looking forward to getting through the election, getting on to planning the 4th of July and the block parties. Park rentals have been picking up already, where people are already planning high school reunions and all sorts of stuff already are hitting my desk because I run the calendar for the reservations. Any questions for me? All right, thanks, Stace.
Thank you. All right, Mark, you're back up with Parks and Trails.
Yeah, so just to kind of rehash on the trees, we got all of them but 3 in. We were able to do 30 1, I believe, altogether. So that was really awesome with the amount of money. We stayed under budget with that as well. So I was really happy to get that many trees in. And just so you all know, the main reason why I did want to do all these shade trees is to help the grass. You know, the grass has been yellow a lot in a lot of the areas that we plant them from the high temps, and there's no shade. They're in full sun exposure all throughout the summer. So that's going to help with that, as well as being able to water less. So I'm really excited to see those grow. Hope they all do well. And then we'll get the rest in on Arbor Day. 80% of our bear-proof trash cans, and I did run this by Katie before we made these modifications. We've had a lot of problems at Little Pine roadside, Eagle Park, where people are bringing their household trash bags, their large kitchen bags, and overfilling our cans, and then the public is putting their trash in on top of it, and the cans are overflowed. During the later spring and summer, we do trash twice a week, and we're still getting, you know, cans that are just overflowed. And we haul truckloads of trash off, and then our dumpsters are also being overflowed because of that. So what we did, you know, and this is also something that doesn't have to be permanent. We can remove it, but we put some sheet metal underneath the lid of the bear-proof trash cans and cut a round hole in it and then lined it with rubber so it's not sharp. That way, you know, your cups, your small things that you're using in the parks can be put in these trash cans. And I think this is going to save a lot of labor for us and, you know, keep the trash off the ground from all these cans that are being overflowed. Because especially at roadside, you know, all the people that are coming off the highway, they're just, you know, they're RVs, they're campers, they're filling these cans up, and that's not what they're for. You know, these people can use dumpsters or haul their trash or put it in their poly cart at their house. So that's all been done. We did not do it at Eagle where the park rentals are because there is, you know, a lot of trash that needs to be put in those for the park rentals. So we kept that in consideration. And we'll see how it goes. If we still have problems with it, you know, we may be looking at some cameras, letting Chief and his staff know to maybe do some extra patrols. But I think this is going to be a solution to that problem and also keep my guys' morale up from not having to keep up with such nasty messes. So our old Kubota RTV, a few years back, it had overheated while it was being driven, and at that time we thought that it had a blown motor and was going to cost like $8,000 to replace that motor. So we were planning on putting it up for auction. But we had some extra time with the weather being how it is, and we were kind of, you know, couldn't do a lot outside. We decided to diagnose it further and take it apart and see what exactly was wrong with it. And our new guy, Joe, who's actually a very good mechanic, was able to determine that it was a cracked head, and the part was $400. Wasn't too hard of a job to replace that, so we got that done, and it is back up and running, which is great because these things probably are $30,000 brand new. It does have a diesel motor, so it should last us quite a few more years. Need to get the insurance and registration put back on it, but that will be back in use. We have dethatched all of the parks and the grass areas, basically just brooming and raking up all the dead grass and getting that. That's why a lot of the fields are already starting to green up and looking good. In the weeks to come, we're going to be turning on irrigation and getting fertilizer and aeration going as well as soon as the temperatures are warm enough. We did get the water tap put in last week, so thanks to Jeremy and his guys for doing all that. The project was a little less work than what we thought. We didn't have to tear up any concrete. We only had about 20 feet of trench that we had to dig to get to the main line. We still do have to reseed and do some cosmetic stuff where the excavation was done. But we did turn it on, and we have very good water pressure there, so it looks like it's going to be pretty promising for our irrigation system. And as soon as it's warm enough, we'll start utilizing that. Back to the shade structure at Mesa, I did meet with their compliance and engineer personnel, and they actually came on site and marked those lines from the air down to the ground. So I have a definite location of where those lines are in conjunction with our structure. The Playgrounds reached back out and actually came up with a new proposal that is within our $50,000 budget and is a regular hip shade structure that I originally wanted. It's going to be close. They did send it off to their CAD and their engineers to design this. It looks like, it could be within inches, so they're going to do their best to make this thing fit. We also have to comply with the setback on the neighboring property line there, so as well as the use zones. But I did go out and I measured, and it looks like it is going to work, and we're under budget. So hopefully we can get that done and get that installed this summer. Stone Security did finally come and got Town Hall and I believe the Senior Center door working. I know I tried my card and it would not work, so I was going to get with Amber and just make sure that my card is set up correctly. I have not tried Town Hall door.
I've tried it and it wouldn't work.
It didn't work. Okay.
Never mind.
Okay. So I will reach back. He was here till like 5:30 when he was finishing up on
And
this
it may
door.
be the same thing, that we just never got access.
Yeah,
So
we
I
may
don't
need
know.
to just set it up in the system. I thought Amber Abdallah had done that already last time I spoke with her, but maybe there's something else that we need to do. But he called me, said it was working. He used his card and it was functioning. So maybe it's a technical issue that we just need to iron out. But yeah, nothing further to report other than that, unless you guys have any questions for me.
Mark, I thought the infields looked really good on Saturday.
Oh, thank you.
I know it's a different story when you have all those teams playing on them over and
Mhm.
over, but what's your thought on the soccer field, talking about soccer being, I know that was a problematic field and we had some issues with the soccer field, but I think it looks good. I just,
Yeah,
I
the
don't know
soccer
about-
field, from what Horizon Environmental did for us last year, I think was success. It filled in a lot of those bare spots that we're struggling with. I may do it again. I've been reaching out to different vendors to try and see if we can do some of that ourselves. We can rent the equipment to do it and maybe get some more of that polymer and the fertilizer and seed in some of the other fields to help. But we did get good results for that.
cool.
One of the other good things too is we've kept our lines for the soccer field, so we can just go out and spray and put goals up and we're ready to go. We do need to try to get our new plugs in there to where we can locate them every year. After they tore up the field, they ripped all those out, so. But Becky had ordered those and we just need to get them installed, so. But it looks good so far. And we haven't even put any fertilizer down or turned water on yet, so hopefully it stays that way.
Yeah, anybody else?
This is just random, and I can't remember if it was you who had brought it up before. Where are we at with the hot water heater at the senior center? Were you looking into that, or Katie? Who was
It's all
looking into
fixed.
that?
It's, yeah,
It is? Okay.
yeah,
Good
it's
to go.
I
completed.
just never heard of the update
I think
on
you were
that.
missing it.
Oh,
Were
maybe
you not
I
here?
I
Yeah.
must have missed a meeting. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
we had it installed, we had it inspected, so far.
It's all good? Okay.
Working great. I have had no complaints on that, so.
No, wonderful. I was just thinking, did we ever close the loop on that? Or is it still
Yeah.
outstanding?
It's fixed. They got hot water.
They got hot water.
All right, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, guys.
All right, HR consultant.
Yeah, so I just provided just the brief agreement between Lisa K. Blue and the town. I reached out to see if we could find a temporary interim HR director. They weren't really interested except going to a full-time position. So in the meantime, Lisa Blue is not interested in a full-time position. She is going to help us hire an HR director and work on our salary survey that we are years behind in getting updated. So she'll be working on that. She's also helping us with the hire of facilities and grounds personnel currently right now, and some other things as far as any issues. She did bring up some issues when I sent her all the information for the facilities and grounds, that we need to be very cognizant of state legislature that was passed in 2022 regarding managers and coordinators and what the minimum salary that we're required to provide them. So anyway, we're going to do a little more research on that and get all the employees are kind of updated. We've at least got their title correct, their salary identified or at least verified, and then we'll I'll match them to the job descriptions and get that all back out to Lisa and get a salary survey. We really need that done this summer so that we can get that done for our budget in 2025.
All right, any questions there?
No.
All right, thank you. Moving on to our financial action agenda. Do we have any public input on items 3A or B on the agenda? If not, we'll go on to March 2024 disbursements. Kathy, do you have anything to add?
I do not have anything to add.
Are there any questions for Kathy? Then I would entertain a motion.
Madam Mayor, I make a motion to accept the March 2024 disbursements.
We have a motion on the floor
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro,
Yes.
Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, moving on to the shared use path.
So we did receive bids back from the shared use path, and I put all that information in the paper documents that I gave you as well. The estimate that we got back was $1,025,070, and that was the lowest bid from Jane's, and so we paid KLJ, this is the engineering company, $88,711, but they have a contract not to exceed $89,742. So the remaining funds, there's $935,327 to cover the portion of the low bidder, Jane's Corp., an additional $89,213 plus construction oversight can be funded from the sidewalk budget. And this is not up for award yet, but before we go out to make this award documents, I need to make sure that the Board of Trustees are okay with spending another sidewalk funds in the street fund versus a budget supplement. So in other words, we wouldn't be doing any other sidewalks if it exceeded the budget that we have in 2024.
And we have a deadline. If we don't use this, we lose that grant.
Well, we've spent, close to 90,000 just to
Yeah,
get the
already.
engineering done. And this was actually awarded in 2019 before I even got
That's-
here.
yeah.
So we've asked CDOT, the Southwest TPR for 2 extensions. We'd certainly like to get that done. That's sidewalk, concrete sidewalk, Bayfield Center, Sauer, Wolverine Drive.
I'd like to see that done. I hate when people walk on that edge of the road right there. But it's up for discussion and certainly like to hear input.
I'm sorry, can you reiterate where the sidewalk is, where the connection path
It's
is?
Bayfield Center, so in other words, from Lewis Merck all the way to the library, and then up Wolverine past 24/7, and then up to the car wash, and then around Sauer Drive, which loops back to Bayfield Center.
So there's
already a
some
sidewalk
path.
there.
Well, there's some path, some sidewalk, some it's
Okay,
a little bit.
Yeah, it's the asphalt, and it's falling apart.
okay. And this is to repair it, or this is to rip it
To
out
replace
and-
it.
Okay.
So where's all the concrete going?
I'm sorry?
Is the whole thing gonna be concrete then?
Yes,
Oh, so we're not replacing it with asphalt?
no. It'd
Wouldn't
be
it
all concrete.
Wouldn't it be cheaper to do it with asphalt?
As far as I know, this is the plan, that was applied for, I think in 2018, and it was awarded in 2019 for a concrete,
I wasn't, I mean, I.
well, I
I'm
wasn't
just
here
asking.
either.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah.
know, I understand that, I'm just asking the questions.
Yeah.
Maintenance-wise, no, it'll cost more to maintain the asphalt over time than it does concrete.
Katie, did someone come at some point and provide like, was there like pictures of what they were going to do?
Yes, we did have plans to the board.
Okay.
It's been a
I
while.
was like, it seems familiar. When I was reading it, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah, I mean, I cruise my beach cruiser on it. It's kind of a mess. It's
Yeah.
total disaster.
It's fun hopping on the cracks.
Yeah. Not when you have your latte.
So, if we agree to this, or we just don't have any qualms with it, does this affect anything that's having to do with the sidewalk project on Mill Street? I know that's a separate
That's a
fund,
s-
but it's
that's a
funded partially
center.
from the street fund, correct?
We really need to get that designed in the center, and that's going to take longer than 2024.
Sure.
Because we really should have a concept design, go out to public, then actually get an engineer involved and go out to RFP to actually get that. Then we can't apply for Main Street revitalization funds because we haven't finished East Gateway.
Okay.
So we're kind of on hold until we get that finished. And we can't, and that seems to be a revolving grant cycle right now. But, I'm guessing we can't even apply until later this summer.
But does our match for those grants, does that come out of the street fund?
Yes.
When we're doing, okay, all right. So ultimately, there's a potential that this could negatively affect that, even though they're two separate worlds, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so we're not voting on this. We're just, you're looking for direction to proceed?
I just would
or-
like direction. We'll get all the notice of award. The engineer will put that together. CDOT's going to make sure that we're willing to proceed ahead above the $89,213. There's a lot of checks and balances in this, and this is what's taken so long for this grant. It's federal and state funding. Yes.
Those funds?
Yes.
So, can,
Yeah.
Please.
So what we're basically asking for is in your capital improvement fund in the streets fund, your Center Mill Street sidewalk connection currently has a balance of $525,000. What we're asking is if we could supplement the $89,000 out of that fund to go ahead and use a shared use pass, which would leave you, I could do the quick math, but you're still going to have $400 and something thousand that's not going to be expended. That's where we would allocate the additional funds to finish the shared use path.
Plus some construction oversight.
Yeah.
So it'd be 89,000, and we have no desire to continue with KLJ on construction oversight, so we would probably, that would be fun. It's going to have to be funded by the town one way or the other, so.
So if that clears up, like
And-
kind of where
yeah.
those additional funds is what we're requesting to make up the
Thank you.
difference for the shared use path.
And those funds they're not slated for anything else right now, are they?
No, because we don't have a
Yeah.
design for the center of Mill Street, and that's going to take a lot. As you can tell, all of the supports in the sidewalk and the different angles and everything else, it's going to take a lot more public input and work, even to put a concept together.
So when this was determined in 2018, before all of us, it's a concern of safety is what I'm hearing. It's a concern of disrepair, and we received the $1,025,070 in grant funding. So this was something that we were already moving forward with, and the issue is right now there's 89,000 and
We're
plus.
just short, yeah.
But we do have that money in capital improvement, so.
That's correct.
This will move forward with what was already agreed upon, that we have $1 million for, and address some safety concerns where there are sidewalks in disrepair or sidewalks that are lacking, is what I'm hearing.
That's correct.
Okay, just making sure I understand all the points.
And if we choose not to move forward, then we're out that close to 90,000 with engineering costs.
Okay.
So,
Why did this take 6 years?
there was a
COVID?
COVID, there was all kinds of stuff, yeah.
Wait, we're out to what, 90,000?
So there was we already have the engineering for
And that was
88.
90?
Yeah, that was in, when did that get done? That was 2018, 2019?
Well,
That for the
Um,
initial engineering?
I don't know what they did before.
Okay. I feel like that was,
So this was
19?
from, so the 90 right now is being attributed to the 1 million.
That's correct.
Ish,
It's
right?
engineering that is within this
So if
grant.
we don't move forward with this, do we we lose $90,000 because we have to pay for it because we didn't use the grant?
No, we've been reimbursed for the engineer
Okay,
all
okay, that's-
along.
Okay,
Through the-
cool,
But
okay. I
then,
was like,
but
wow,
then we've,
90,000, okay.
yeah, then CDOT will
Well,
probably
yeah.
think again, well, do we ever give the
Bayfield.
town of Bayfield money? Because, you
Yeah.
know, they took 5 or 6 years to do this and then
Yeah.
they gave it back. And it doesn't, in this case, because it's taken so long, it doesn't go to another community. Had it happened before we asked for the first extension, which was 2022, it could have probably been reallocated to another Region 9 community. But because we're already too late into it, we don't even have that option to gift it to another community. Or it's not us, but the
Yeah.
TPR would have done that.
Well, the way I'm looking at this is I'd like to see it finished. I know the area that we're talking about. And if we have the capital improvement, which is for things like this, that we have $500,000 in capital improvement, I mean, I say make the sidewalk safe. I know I've used them before. If you're looking for my opinion.
I'm looking for everyone's opinion
Okay.
too.
This is all the way up around by alert sign. Does this go to the traffic light?
No,
Like, is that section? No, it doesn't go that far?
no,
Okay.
Just in the business.
So it's just in the business district?
yes.
Yeah, I personally would like to push forward and see this get finished.
So it's just gonna cost us the 90 grand that we're gonna get from the sidewalk, that we have left over in the sidewalk funds already from Mill Street,
90,000 plus the construction
oversight.
oversight,
Maybe,
which is
which is
Contingency.
probably,
20 grand.
I don't know. We would have to go to, I think we've already talked to SGM about doing that, and they would, I think they would go to subcontractor for that construction oversight.
Yeah, they were gonna provide us a cost estimate, but I think they said it's like 10 to 15% construction cost. Does that sound right?
So 100,000?
Well, I don't wanna assume anything until.
10% of 90,000 or 10% of 1 million?
the, yeah.
Right. Of the project.
Jeremy's saying no. I don't know.
So then erase that. I don't know. They're gonna give us a cost estimate.
And then this will ultimately come back for approval from the board.
From award, and in the meantime, we'll be looking for those estimates from SGM. But there's still a lot of checks and balances with CDOT because this is federal money as well. So it's not we just want to make sure that I don't bypass the board in this step, and then I come back for an award, and you're like, you
What was
know,
it?
why did we even consider this? So,
So I think not knowing what the construction oversight costs makes it kind of hard to be like,
does.
yeah, sure, because I'm like, yeah, sure, use 90,000, but if it's 90,000 plus 100,000, I'm like, whoa, maybe a little more discussion. So can the direction be to figure out what the construction I think if the board is okay with this as a project first, and then yes, then I think we want to know what that estimate is to know what the plus actually equals.
yeah, and we had reached out to get that. It's just a matter of finalizing that.
Okay. So I'll amend my recommendation. If the board would like to move forward with the project, I would like to know what the oversight is, but then that comes back to the board for approval anyway.
That's
So,
correct.
But it's just,
yeah.
shall
Do
we
want-
give
do
the
we wanna
direction to
do-
proceed?
Do we want
and
to
this-
do the
yes.
sidewalk is the question. Even, I mean, back in 18, they wanted to do the sidewalk, so it's probably.
It's used all the time. I mean,
It is.
it's in my backyard. I mean, it's, I don't know. I think if it was a better sidewalk, it'd be used more and more.
And it does have that spur past the Upper Pine admin building. I think there are going to be some improvements there. We're talking about gates and some other things, but that is another connection that goes up 501 as well, so.
I think if it comes back, I want to know what the construction oversight cost is, and I would like to see a plan, some type of construction plan and what this is all entailing.
Sure.
I mean, sure, it's out there. I just, without it, it's,
It's just been a long
from
time
this
since we
perspective,
visited this.
I've never
yeah.
seen
Well,
this.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never,
Yeah.
I mean,
I'd
I
like
haven't
to,
seen it.
I'd like to see the same thing,
Yeah.
the
Honestly, I
plan and
think
the
this came
cost.
up before us, one of our first meetings.
Yeah,
when
'cause
we
it's
first
been
got on the
tabled
board
for
2
a
years
long-
ago, and
uh-huh.
I'm like, I was always wondering what happened to this, and now it's here. And I'm like,
You know
well, that
what,
took
too?
an awful long time.
Isn't Upper Pine Station One gonna be in that general vicinity? And they're planning to have like that, they're having a medical practice or.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's gonna be pretty busy over there
Yes.
once that gets put into place too, just to, more people probably
Walking
trafficking
or-
that area.
And we are
Than what it
working
is
with
now.
Upper Pine as well
Mhm.
regarding construction site as well.
Well, potentially tractors,
Mhm.
and some others, so.
Yeah, so if it's not being used, it will be.
So I guess that's.
So what I'm hearing is the direction is, find out what the construction oversight is and bring construction plans with the next agenda item.
Okay. Moving on to our action agenda, do we have any public input pertaining to items 4A or B on the agenda? Seeing none, we will go to 4A, amend Resolution 598, mission, vision, and values.
So, we're getting ready or drafting the strategic plan, and that's gonna hopefully be done around September as we're getting for the 2025 budget. And when I was looking at the resolution for the comp plan, I could not find anywhere in the packet, there were some references to what was added or subtracted into the mission, vision, and values, but nothing was actually in the packet. So I did talk to Town Attorney Goldman about this, and we did have this discussion during our planning leadership meeting, and he did suggest that we just bring this resolution, the same resolution before you, with another amendment just to add the mission, vision, and values versus a new one, because the comp plan has to go through a public hearing, so we're kind of making sure that it's part of the first public hearing that you had for the comp plan.
Any questions on that from the board?
No.
Not really.
I would entertain a motion to approve amending Resolution 598.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve amending Resolution 598.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Trustee Cesaro,
Yes.
Trustee Harts,
Yes.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
Yay.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right, here we go. Our table discussion for March 19th, the Cigna Health Insurance Credit.
So I'm going to let Finance Director Cathcart just kind of provide an explanation about the difference between level funded, self-funded, full funded, the whole thing.
Okay. I'll let you know. I spoke to, the way our insurance works is we are partially self-funded or level funded. We are not fully self-funded because we go through an insurance company. Other municipalities have self-funded where they insure themselves, but we aren't there. We are partially self-funded. So basically, the way ours works is our premium is right at $500,000 for the year, for the entire year. That premium is divided in half. $250,000 of that is put into a pool with other communities of our like size. Those funds are used to pay large claims. The other $250,000 is put into a pool of just us, just our municipality, those funds are used to pay what is considered small claims. That's $22,500 and less. At the end of the year, if there are any funds left out of that $250,000 that was put in that pool to pay small funds, we are entitled to 2/3 of the remaining funds back as a refund if we renew. Had we not renewed with Cigna, we would not have gotten that money back. But we did. We renewed with them. So we're entitled to, there was approximately, this is just some quick math in my head, but I think it was about $72,000 left in that pool that we didn't spend on small claims. We were entitled to 2/3 of that back, which was $48,000. We renewed our premium, we renewed our policy in December. So come March, they're going to refund us that $48,000. That $48,000 is because we had a healthy pool. Because we didn't have a lot of small claims, basically. That's how the insurance broker explained it to me. We had a healthy, we finally have a fairly healthy bunch of employees. We didn't have a lot of little claims. We had money left over. Since we renewed, we're entitled to that, to 2/3 of that money back.
Kathy, may I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So what happens if next year we have a unhealthy pool?
Uh-huh.
And, I mean, for whatever reason, and what if we exceed the $250,000? So what happens to the town then?
If you exceed, we just don't get our premiums back.
Of course.
I mean, we're not entitled to a refund.
Do we have to pay more if we go above the 250 for small claims?
They don't charge us more.
Okay.
I mean, it's not like,
They don't
oh, you guys
backcharge.
spent more
Okay.
in the pool. Now, will that be reflected in our premium? Maybe
Yes.
next year or the year after? Absolutely.
Yes.
But no, they don't charge us more for that, no.
Okay.
And just for the record and for the audience, we have never seen a credit like this before because we have never had this
No.
healthy of a
In,
pool.
in 2022, when we got our renewal, our premiums skyrocketed because we had quite a few claims
remember,
in the
yeah.
previous year.
And so the conversation that we've been having and the discussion with the employees is, that this is the thought of the town to incentivize our employees to stay healthy and to utilize their wellness benefits and to do this again for the town so that we're entitled to another refund. So that's the thought on the, bonuses, for lack of a better.
So would we be setting precedent? So let's say we get money back next year, and let's say it's only $10,000. Are we, moving forward, is our practice going to be, if there is a credit back, the 2/3 back, that we're going to distribute that however we determine tonight? Or, I just want to, if we do this now, even though it's a big.
By Tabor, every year you have to adopt a new budget. And every year you have a board of trustees today, and you'll have a different board of trustees in a month. That board of trustees has full authority to do whatever they would like. There's no requirement that it's refunded to anybody other than the town receives that credit. It just happened to be that we learned of that $48,000 that Friday before the meeting, and it it was one of those things where, while we're still in this current board of trustees, is there something they'd like to do differently? If not, it's definitely your decision, just like any budget or salaries or anything else is an annual decision.
Yeah, I just don't want to me, if we do this now, I'd like to see it happen moving forward, not every other year, depending upon the whim of the board at the moment. Well, no, we're not going to do it this year. We're going to do something else. Because now you're setting up employees into thinking, okay, I'm making healthy choices, and I might be getting a bonus because of that. I mean, even though one person could throw that out because that's what I saw in my previous HR environment. But I feel like if we do this now, is there an expectation going forward, not, we're all gonna keep voting on it every year? I mean, that just seems, that just seems icky.
There's no guarantee of even having a job. So, and I'm gonna let Town Attorney Nicholson basically provide any information about making it permanent, because I don't even know how that would be done.
Right, I'm not sure how it would be done either, because you would have a different health insurance policies in the future that might have a totally different,
Right.
you know, system.
So I think it has to, yeah, it has to be voted on every.
So if we give a refund back, are we obligated to give it back to the employees that are no longer here that worked during the 2023 year?
Nobody that does, it would only be for employees that are working today, was my suggestion. It was just a suggestion. It was not how it needed to be done.
Backdated to
And I was
somebody.
asked to go to the employees to ask, and I was a little nervous because there wasn't any guarantee that would be any type of credit. And so they made their decision somewhat similar to what I had suggested, or increase it, so.
So to piggyback on your question, we're deciding in 2024 for a credit in 2023 that nobody that worked during that year that was healthy, that actually helped create that credit, they're not going to get a.
That's your call, not mine.
Seems like that would be, if we decided to do that. Quite honestly, I have looked through this and tried to pull it apart every way to legitimately say, yeah, let's give all the employees $1,000. I don't see any reason for it. We're paying into that fund. I was looking for a place where maybe we could see that there was some kind of ratio that we could work with or something, but we had a good year. Next year, we could totally blow it out of the water. And just like you say, we're setting a precedent this year, and we're starting a process that we may not be able to continue.
So a healthy pool is much easier to insure than the unhealthy pool we had in 2021.
Right, but yes, you can do so much on the wellness side.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know what's going to happen. That's why you have
That's true.
insurance.
And that money could help pay for the premiums next year, because that money's we gotta budget it from somewhere. So you've got $48,000 that could now pay for some of those premiums, whereas we can now spend $48,000 in another area versus maybe we couldn't because we didn't have that money there to go in towards their health insurance.
And if you would like me to come up with a different plan, or just leave the $48,000 where it's at, it will automatically go back to the funds in which it was credited out of,
It'll get split up 4 different ways.
to the sewer fund, the street fund, the water fund, and the general fund.
I'd like to see that happen.
Me too.
I guess I just look at it as like what Alexis is saying. There are staff who contributed to that aren't a part of it, and I don't feel like we're gonna back pay people who've left the town for whatever
Right.
reason for their contribution for their part of the year. I mean, it just seems like a lot of work, whereas,
Well, no, that was why the recommendation was
Yeah.
just anyone who's currently employed
Yeah.
here. I mean, I tend to fight for employees. I've heard from a lot of them. I know how they feel, and we didn't give bonuses.
I'm not saying we're not fighting
Yeah.
for the employees. I think we actually are in trying to determine where the money should go, not just a cash payout or to your HSA or to wellness benefits. I think putting the $48,000 back into the funds allows it to be there next time when the premiums go up. Staff don't have to pay for their benefits. What if it gets so expensive that they would need to? Now we have money that could go towards that. I mean, that's just another way I'm looking at it. So
Right.
it's not, we're anti-employee bonuses. I mean, shit, this is my last meeting. I'll gladly vote for everyone to get $1,000. And you can vote for me when I run again in the future. Hold on to the placard. No, I'm
You
just
have one
saying-
more, technically.
I know.
Any other-
I
What
feel
office are you
as if
running
I-
for?
She's already already
I'm
going.
ready for
I'm
the
joking.
employees. No, I just don't feel as if yes, having cash is great. However, that money can also benefit the employees in other ways that's not $1,000 or $500 or whatever it is in your pocket. So I don't feel as if we're not being pro-employee by not saying cash payout. Like, I just want that to be very clear. I'm thinking of there's premiums go up and down, and now you could have that as a buffer for when the premiums go up, and we're looking at, oh, well, we can't do a 3% COLA this year because we can't pay for health insurance. Well, in a good year, now we created a little bit of a buffer. So maybe now they're still able to have 3% raises, and we can pay for our health insurance, because health insurance, it doesn't go down. And, you know, you could have something happen this year where all of a sudden people are using their health insurance. Maybe it's such a great year because no one's going to the doctor and no one's using their insurance. And then next year, everyone's like,
COVID hit.
exactly. Well, now I'm going to go get those procedures done that I hadn't before. And then we use up all of our money in the fund, and now we got to pay a higher premium. So I feel like this benefits the town. Whatever the decision we make is going to benefit the town, and it's going to benefit the town's employees.
I agree. I'm not pro-employee to say this, because I agree with you. Everything is going to go back into helping the employees have health care. If it was a payout of $1,000, you have to pay taxes on that. And
So it depends on how it's
Well, how
paid
they
out.
take it. They could put it into an HSA, they
They
could
could.
roll it into a wellness
Right.
benefit.
Depends how it's
But if
paid
they
out.
want
If
cash,
they want cash, then they
then
get the ding.
it's paid, and it's
Yep.
and a bonus is taxed between 20 and 25%. And then what is the cost to the town? Do we pay taxes on that? So right off the bat, we're losing $200 on every bonus. With just 5 people, that's $1,000. I mean, it's not beneficial to the employees to actually give cash in a way. If you
Well,
look at it.
and that's why I was a little nervous going back to the employees, because, it was, ask them.
Right,
So, I
I'm
mean,
not, yeah.
next time I know that I need to be a little clearer exactly what you're asking, because, this is something that the employees were asked by your direction. So I'm certainly, I'll be the first one to tell them that, what we asked you it was denied. I mean, that's your prerogative.
Well, it was how, if the money went to the employees, what would they prefer? So that was good to know. That's what we were talking about.
Okay.
But that was if that route went. And if we don't go the cash out route, then it's when the premiums go up, the town can afford it, and you might still be we can still do raises, and we can still get people up on the wage scale. Like, this is money that goes towards that. It's just not, it's the it's like the long-term game versus the short-term game is how I'm looking at it.
I mean, I would like to add to 3 months ago, we had 3 meetings in a row where we talked about employee retention. We were in fear of losing everybody, right? And we had these great grandiose plans, maybe delusions of grandeur, and then we saw the budget. And it was like, screech, we can't hire all these people. And it was like the air in the room just dropped. So I don't know what anybody in this town's bank account looks like, but if $1,000, even if taxed, would help them, if it's $600 and that actually has a monetary impact on them, and they did something to get, or maybe they just didn't do something, didn't get sick or stayed a little bit healthy, and so I can't say that an immediate gratification is not better for an employee right now, day one, than thinking about the future. I mean, I don't know. I don't know that I necessarily agree that the longevity of $48,000 bankrolled is going to help retain an employee or help an employee today.
Yeah, no, it could go either way. It depends on the employee.
I think from a financial perspective, and I'm not saying this just because I would like to get this benefit, but if we're spending $500,000 in insurance and you give each employee $1,000 for their health and wellness, or the HSA to incentivize them to stay healthier, and hopefully, and insurance is unknown,
but hopefully our premiums either drop or stay the same. $48,000 probably is not a whole lot of money compared to the increased premium rate. So financially, I think, to keep your employees, on this track of staying healthy, probably is a good decision.
So if you don't get it, are you gonna be unhealthy?
Not saying.
Just playing devil's advocate. I'm pro-employee
I
too.
agree, but, a lot of times keeping these guys motivated and their morale up and, them staying healthy and using this money to go buy more sports equipment or outdoor recreational equipment, because
New
that's
pair
what
of
I
hiking
would use
shoes.
it for. I'm not gonna, have it taxed because then most of that money's gone. But if I can put it towards my wellness, then yeah, I'll go buy more, sports equipment and outdoor stuff to go do more things too. That's where we live. This is the things that we do. So I think from, a financial perspective, especially in the town, and we are all very, we have a lot of gratitude that, because my previous employer didn't pay this much for my insurance. That's why a lot of us come here is for those benefits. So we're very grateful for that. But, like we've said, to keep a healthy crew, and keep their morale boosted, it might pay off a lot more in the long run.
Does it have to be all or nothing? What if you reduce the bonuses and put money back in the coffer?
I mean, that's, that's a discussion if you look on that last page on the back of your packet, there's that good, all the way on the back, flip it over, yeah. On the recommendations, and that's based on having these conversations with the employees. I think Mark had a good point there. Very few of them, I think, are gonna take the cash grab. I think most of them are gonna reinvest in their wellness benefit or their HSA, knowing that it's gonna be taxed. So that's why I'm, like I said, I'm about retention and morale and the recommendation there is 1,000 to full-time employees and 500 to part-time, retaining the remaining 18,000. So it's not all going out.
And if we're worried about the tax liability on the town side, then you don't have to offer them cash.
You can, offer them a check.
Everybody is eligible for that wellness benefit. Not everybody has an HSA, but every employed person is eligible for the wellness benefit. If you want it to be used for wellness or outside activities or that kind of stuff, everybody's eligible for that.
So the town actually used to pay 90% of all employee plans. And you saw even in that percentage that we're decreasing the amount of town contribution just a little bit every year. And so it is decreasing, and yet you're finding that when people are moving to an HSA or a high deductible, their claims are less. And of course, we'd like to see children on the plan as well. That helps our pool as well.
So Katie, your recommendation is A through E on the back of our packet. It's all of those combined, correct?
A3,
I'm looking at your memorandum that has your recommendation being the amount restricted to each employee must elect. The deadline for election is April 19th.
yes.
And it has to be, okay, so it would be all of those things, okay.
And I'm not saying it's, the only reason I brought the 1,000 and 500, that's what I brought to you the first time. So that's what I brought to the employees, and some of them said, well, why don't you increase that? That's not, I don't think that's appropriate. If you want to make it half of it or a fourth of it, I think even a fourth would say, hey, we appreciate that you've made our health insurance more reasonable, and maybe we can insure and, provide better health insurance benefits and better compensation or salaries. And it's your choice. If you want the full $48,000 to stay as is, all it's going to do is basically change the actual amount that the town owes on the financial statements.
How many people have we hired between January 1 and the 27th of March?
I don't have that off the top
Okay.
of my head.
Well, I
Not
was just
many.
thinking, this is for the calendar year of 2023, so why are bonuses being given to staff who were hired in 2024?
I don't believe we have any employees that have been hired in 2024.
No, I was just curious
full-time-
because
I
they
mean, we
weren't
have
part of
seasonal-
the.
Seasonals.
We have
yeah.
seasonal
Okay.
employees, but we don't
Okay.
have any new actual town staff.
Okay.
And if you want it to be only going to employees that are currently employed in 20, that are still employed in 2024, that were employed in 2023 during that period, I mean, you can restrict it or negate the whole thing.
I know. It's good discussion. But we're gonna have to make a decision here tonight. So I would entertain a motion either way.
Madam Mayor, I'll make a motion to move forward with Town Manager Sickles' recommendation, items A, B, C, D, and E in her memorandum dated 3/28/2024. Employee input regarding Cigna $48,000 credit.
We have a motion on the floor. Would anybody like to second? We need a second, then you can vote, however which way you want to.
I'm just making sure before I say anything, I'm sorry. Second.
All right, any further discussion? Clarification, comments? All right, roll call.
Trustee Cesaro,
Yes.
Trustee Hartz,
No.
Trustee Wolf,
Yes.
Trustee Ah,
No.
and Mayor Tarkington.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everyone.
So
for-
would you, just a little bit about CCing the other council members. It's always my job to make sure that all the Board of Trustees are informed of any new information that comes to agenda item. And so I'm going to let Attorney Nicholson just provide information about why trustees should probably avoid CCing their board.
Sure, and it's just primarily relating to the sunshine laws and the open meeting laws that when there's too much deliberation going on via email amongst board members, then it's potentially a meeting that's occurring that hasn't been noticed as required by law. So it's just best to keep emails amongst yourself to real procedural matters, and so it doesn't look like you're debating the substance of what's being discussed just because of transparency and public input concerns.
Is there a reason for a BCC on the first one? That's what threw me off.
So I always BCC, so you don't start emailing, replying to all. And
Okay.
I was trained that a long time ago, that if you BCC, that means that, Lori doesn't say, oh, I'm going to respond to Katie, and before you know it, you've got a meeting going on, and I've got to figure out how to stop that or how to inform the town attorney.
And mark your calendar for April 8th, because that's that DOLA rep, Patrick Rondinelli, for board training. He will be in town. Don't forget, election is tomorrow, and then we've got April 16th as the next Board of Trustees meeting, and April 22nd, we do have a joint work session with the county commissioners. And if there is nothing further to add, I will go ahead and adjourn this meeting. It is 7:44.
Early one.
I knew that was gonna be a discussion. I'm glad it was.